Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English Echo Stories. Today, I have something special for you. I have a story that will shake your world. I have a story that will make you think differently about everything. I have a story about a girl named Maya. And this story will prove to you that nothing, absolutely nothing, is impossible. You know, we often hear people say, "I cannot do it." We hear people say, "I am not smart enough." We hear people say, "I do not have money, so I cannot succeed." We hear these words every day. But today, I want to show you something different. I want to show you that these words are lies. I want to show you that everything is possible if you truly believe. Before I tell you this story, I need to tell you something. This is not just a made-up story. This is a real story about a real person. This is a true story. And when you hear this story, you will understand something very important. You will understand that the biggest obstacle in your life is not money. The biggest obstacle is not your background. The biggest obstacle is not your education. The biggest obstacle is your belief in yourself. So let me tell you about Maya, a girl who had nothing except one powerful thing. A girl who went from being a kitchen helper in a restaurant to becoming a successful software engineer. A girl who worked 16 hours a day. A girl who slept in a small room with 5 other people. A girl who had no one to help her, no mentor, no teacher, no support system. But this girl had fire in her heart, and that fire changed everything. This story will break your heart. This story will heal your heart. This story will make you cry. But more than that, this story will make you stand up. This story will make you believe again. After you hear this story, you will never say, "I cannot" again. I promise you. Every second of this story is important. Every word is true. Part 1. The girl who dreamed behind the counter. My name is Maya. I was born in a crowded city, but not in the nice part. I was born in the part that the government forgets about. My family did not have a house. We had a small room, just one room for 5 people. My mother, my father, my 2 younger brothers, and me. One room. That was our whole world. My father was sick most of the time. He could not work. My mother worked as a cleaner in people's homes. She cleaned their houses and earned very little money. My 2 brothers were young. They needed food. They needed school. Everything cost money that we did not have. When I turned 15 years old, my mother said to me, "We need your help. We need more money. You must find work." I wanted to continue school. I wanted to study. I wanted to be someone important. But I understood. I understood that my family needed me. So I stopped going to school. I started working at a small restaurant. I washed dishes. I cleaned tables. I prepared food. I worked 12 hours every day. The restaurant was hot and loud. The boss was not kind. He did not smile. He did not say nice things. He just gave orders. Do this, do that, faster, faster. That was my life. But while I washed dishes, I had a secret. While I cleaned tables, I had a dream. My dream was about computers. My dream was about technology. I did not know why. I had never used a computer. I had never seen the internet. But something inside me knew that computers were the future. One day, a customer left a magazine on a table. I picked it up when the boss was not looking. The magazine was about technology. It had pictures of people working on computers. These people looked different. They looked happy. They looked important. They looked like they had created something beautiful. I kept that magazine hidden. I read it every night before I slept. I read it in candlelight in our tiny room. I read it over and over again until I almost memorized it. In the magazine, there was an article about software engineers. These people created apps and websites. They created things that millions of people used. And I thought, if millions of people use these things, then software engineers are important. They are building the world. From that moment, I had only one thought. I wanted to become a software engineer. But how? I worked 12 hours a day. I had no money for school. I had no computer. I did not speak English well. I did not know anything about technology. But I had something else. I had determination. I had hunger. I had a dream that would not die. The restaurant had a small internet cafe next to it. During my lunch break, I had 30 minutes. I would go to the cafe. I would ask to use the computer for free. Sometimes the owner said yes. Sometimes he said no. But when he said yes, I would sit at that computer like it was a throne. I would search for how to learn programming. I would search for how to become a software engineer. I would search for free coding lessons. I had no money to pay for courses, so I looked for free things, free videos, free lessons, free tutorials. The internet was very slow. Videos took forever to download, but I did not care. I would watch one video, 2 videos, 3 videos. In just 30 minutes, I would learn something new. Then I would go back to work. At night, after I finished work, I was very tired, but I did not go home to sleep. I went to the library. The library was free. The library had computers. Some computers were slow, but they were free. I would sit at the library from 8 o'clock in the evening until the library closed at 10 o'clock. 2 hours. Just 2 hours every night. In those 2 hours, I would watch more videos. I would read articles. I would type codes into the computer. My fingers hurt. My eyes burned. My back hurt from sitting. But every time I typed a command and it worked, something happened inside me. It was like electricity. It was like my dream was becoming real. I did this every single day. Work during the day, library at night, 2 hours of learning. Then I would go home and sleep 4 hours. Then I would wake up and do it all again. My friends thought I was crazy. They said, "Why are you doing this? You work so hard. You make so little money. Why do you also torture yourself with this computer thing?" Even my mother said, "Maya, you are so tired. Why do you not just accept your life? You have a job. That is enough. Not everyone can be an engineer." But I did not listen. I could not listen. Because inside me, there was something burning. Something that said, this is not the end. This is just the beginning. 1 month passed. 2 months passed. 3 months passed. I watched hundreds of videos. I read hundreds of articles. I wrote hundreds of codes. Some codes worked. Most codes did not work. But every time a code did not work, I learned something. One night, a man came to the library. He saw me typing very fast on the computer. He saw my face. I was not looking at the screen. I was looking somewhere far away. He asked me, "What are you doing? What are you thinking about so hard?" I looked up and said, "I am trying to learn programming. I am trying to become a software engineer." He smiled. He said, "That is a good dream. That is a big dream. Keep going. Do not stop." That was all he said. He did not know my life. He did not know that I worked 12 hours a day. He did not know that I slept in a crowded room. He did not know anything about me. But his words stayed with me. Those simple words. Keep going. Do not stop. After 6 months of this routine, something happened. I created my first small project. It was a very simple app, a calculator, just a calculator that could add and subtract numbers. It was not fancy, it was not beautiful, but it was something I created, my creation. I showed it to the library worker. I said, "Look, I made this." The library worker looked at my calculator and said, "This is very good. This is your first app?" I said, "Yes." I said, "I made it in my free time. I learned from videos. I taught myself." The library worker looked very impressed. He said, "Do you know something? There is a free coding program. It is for people like you, people who have dreams but no money. They teach programming for free. You should apply." My heart stopped. I said, "Really? Is that true?" He said yes. He gave me information about the program. The program was called Tech Bridge for Everyone. I applied. I filled out the application. They asked me questions. They asked me why I wanted to learn programming. I wrote the truth. I wrote that I worked in a restaurant. I wrote that I had no money. I wrote that I had a dream. I wrote that I would not give up. 2 weeks later, I got an email. The program accepted me. They said I could start the next month. The program was free. It was only in the evenings. It was only 3 hours per night. But it was real. It was real teaching from real teachers. I cried when I got that email. I cried in the library. I cried while sitting at the computer. I cried because someone believed in me. Someone said, "Yes, Maya, you can do this." Part 2. The days that made me strong. The program started on a Monday morning. I woke up at 5 o'clock. I put on my best clothes. They were not nice clothes, but they were clean. I walked to the training center with my heart beating very fast. When I arrived, I saw other students. There were 20 students in my class. Some were boys, some were girls, some were young like me, some were older. But we all had one thing in common. We all wanted to learn. We all wanted to change our lives. The teacher's name was David. David was young, maybe 30 years old. He had been a software engineer. He had worked at big companies. But he chose to teach people like us for free. On the first day, David asked us a question. He said, "Why are you here? Why do you want to learn programming?" Each student said something. Some said they wanted good money. Some said they wanted respect. Some said they wanted to impress people. Then it was my turn. I said, "I work in a restaurant. I wash dishes. I clean tables. I earn very little money. My family is poor. But I believe that if I learn programming, I can change my life. I can help my family. I can create something. I can be someone." The class was quiet. Then David smiled. He said, "That is the best reason. The reason is not just money. The reason is change. The reason is purpose. You will succeed, Maya. I am sure of it." Every evening, I would finish work at the restaurant at 6 o'clock. Then, I would run to the training center. The training center was 30 minutes away by bus. I did not have money for the bus every day, so sometimes I walked. 30 minutes walking, then 3 hours of class, then 30 minutes walking home. Then I would sleep. I did this 6 days a week for 4 months. 4 months of intense learning, 4 months of exhaustion, 4 months of pushing my body and mind to the limit. David was a good teacher. He taught us HTML and CSS. He taught us JavaScript. He taught us about databases. He taught us about responsive design. But more than that, he taught us about thinking. He taught us how to solve problems. He said something I will never forget. He said, "Programming is not about knowing everything. Programming is about learning how to find answers. Programming is about problem solving. When you face a problem you have never seen before, you must find the solution. That is what programmers do. In the class, I was not the fastest learner. Some students understood things immediately. I had to think more. I had to try more times. But I was the most persistent. I was the one who asked questions. I was the one who practiced the most. After class, other students would go home. They would rest. I would stay in the training center. David would stay with me. He would answer my questions. He would help me understand difficult things. He did this for free. He did not have to, but he believed in me. 3 months into the program, David gave us a project. He said, "I want you to create a website, a real website. You can create anything you want, but it must be functional. It must work." I decided to create a website for a restaurant. I thought about my restaurant. I thought about how customers could see the menu online. They could see the prices. They could even order food. This website would help small restaurants like mine. I worked on this project every day. I worked in the evenings at the training center. I worked at home at night. I worked at the library during my lunch break. I asked David many questions. Sometimes he answered. Sometimes he said, "Maya, you need to find this answer yourself. Use Google. Read the documentation. Try." 2 weeks later, I finished the website. It was not perfect, but it worked. And David did something special. He invited a local restaurant owner to come see the website. The restaurant owner looked at my website. He looked at it for 5 minutes without saying anything. Then he said, "This is good. This is really good. Can you make a website for my restaurant?" My heart almost stopped. He was asking me to create a website for him. He was offering me work, my first real work. He offered me $500. $500. It was more money than I made in 1 month at the restaurant. I said yes immediately. I told my boss at the restaurant that I needed to leave. I said I had another job. My boss was angry. But I did not care. I had my first real project. I worked on that website for 2 weeks. I made it beautiful. I made it work perfectly. The restaurant owner was very happy. He paid me $500. For the first time in my life, I held $500. Real money that I earned with my brain. Not my hands. My brain. I gave the money to my mother. I said, "This is for food. This is for my brother's school. This is for medicine for father." My mother looked at the money and cried. She said, "Maya, where did you get this?" I said, "I made a website for a restaurant. I earned this money." My mother hugged me. She said, "My daughter, you are not just working. You are building something. You are creating something." After I finished the program with David, I had a choice. I could try to find a real job as a junior programmer, or I could continue working on websites for small businesses. I did both. I looked for a job. I applied to many companies. But I also created websites for small businesses. One restaurant, then another restaurant, then a small shop, then a salon. I was not making a lot of money yet, but I was making money. And more importantly, I was getting experience. I was becoming a real programmer. After 3 months of working on websites, a software company called me. They had seen my work. They had seen my websites. They were impressed. They wanted to interview me. I wore my best clothes again. I was very nervous. The interview was at their big office building. There was air conditioning. There were many people working. It was like another world. The interviewer asked me many technical questions. He asked me about JavaScript. He asked me about databases. He asked me about problem solving. I answered his questions. Some answers were good. Some answers were not perfect. Then he asked me a different question. He said, "Tell me about your journey. How did you become a programmer?" I told him the truth. I told him about washing dishes. I told him about the library. I told him about David. I told him about the websites I created. I told him about my dream. He listened to the whole story. Then he said, "You are not like other programmers. Other programmers studied in good universities. Other programmers had support. You had nothing but your dream. That is special. That is rare. We want to hire you." They hired me, not as a junior programmer, but as a real programmer. They offered me $800 per month. For the first time in my life, I would earn real money. I called David. I said, "David, I got the job. I got a real job as a software engineer." David said, "I knew you would." I never doubted it. I went home and told my family. My mother cried happy tears. My father smiled. My brothers hugged me. For the first time in our lives, we felt hope. Real hope. Part 3. From Worker to Achiever. Now 5 years have passed since I got that first job. I am no longer a junior programmer. I am a senior engineer. I lead a team of 5 programmers. I design systems that millions of people use. Sometimes I think about the girl who washed dishes in the restaurant. That girl seems like a different person, but I remember her. I remember her hunger. I remember her determination. My life has changed completely. I no longer work 12 hours a day in a hot kitchen. I work 8 hours a day in a cool office. I still work hard, but now I work smart. I earn a good salary. I can give my family a better life. My parents moved to a better house, not a big house, but a real house with separate rooms. My father is healthier now. We can pay for his medicine. My brothers are studying in a good school. Last month, I bought my first computer. A new computer, not a second-hand one. A brand new computer just for me. When I brought it home, I cried. I cried because I remembered sitting in the library, waiting for slow computers. I remembered the internet cafe where the owner sometimes said no. I remembered fighting for access to technology. Now I have the best computer, and I use it to help others. I started teaching programming to other young people like me, girls from poor families, girls who work in restaurants and shops, girls who have dreams but no opportunities. I teach them for free, just like David taught me for free. I have taught 20 girls so far. 15 of them now have jobs in technology. Some are junior programmers, some are web designers, some are creating their own businesses. David called me last month. He said, "Maya, I am proud of you, not because you became a successful engineer, but because you are helping others. You are creating a cycle of hope." One day, I went back to the restaurant where I used to work. My old boss was still there. He was still shouting at the new workers. I looked at him and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just nothing, because I was no longer that girl. I introduced myself to one of the new workers. I said, "I used to work here. I washed dishes here. Now I am a software engineer. If you want to learn something new, I can help you." The girl looked at me with hope in her eyes. She said, "Really? You think I can do it?" I said, "I know you can. I did it. If I can do it, you can do it. You just need to believe." Now I want to tell you something. This story is real. Maya is real, her journey is real, and if you think her story is impossible, let me tell you about other people who did impossible things. Steve Jobs was adopted. His parents were not educated. People said he would never succeed, but he created Apple. He created the iPhone. He changed the world. Oprah Winfrey was born in poverty. She was abused. She was sad. People said she would be nothing. But she became one of the richest women in the world. She created opportunities for millions of people. J.K. Rowling was a poor single mother. She wrote a book while sitting in a cafe. Publishers rejected her book many times. People said she was wasting her time, but she wrote Harry Potter, the book that millions of children loved. All of these people had something in common. They did not listen to people who said, "You cannot." They did not believe the limitations people tried to put on them. So I want to ask you a question. What is your dream? What do you want to create? What do you want to become? Do not tell me, "I do not have money." Money is just a tool. You can find free resources. Do not tell me, "I do not have education." You can teach yourself. The internet is full of free learning. Do not tell me, "I do not have support." You do not need anyone's permission to follow your dream. Do not tell me, "I am too old." Do not tell me, "I am too young." Do not tell me, "I am from the wrong place." These are all lies. These are excuses that your mind creates to protect you from trying. Because trying is scary, failing is scary. But you know what is scarier? Living your whole life wondering, what if? Today is the day to stop making excuses. Today is the day to start making changes. Your life does not have to be like this forever. Your situation is not permanent. Your circumstances are not your destiny. You can change. You can grow. You can become someone different. The girl who washes dishes can become an engineer. The boy who guards buildings can become a leader. The person everyone ignores can become someone everyone respects. But you have to start. You have to take the first step. You have to believe when no one else believes. So what is your first step? What will you do today? Will you watch a free video? Will you read an article? Will you practice something new? Will you take action? Do not just listen to this story and feel inspired for a day. Do not just think, "That is nice," and forget about it tomorrow. Take action. Do something. Start now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. Because time is moving. Every second that passes, you are either becoming more or becoming less. You are either moving closer to your dream or further away. So what will you choose? If you choose to believe in yourself, if you choose to take action, if you choose to never give up, then like this video. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment and tell me what your dream is, and do not forget to subscribe to English Echo Stories. Because every day, we bring you stories that will change how you think about life. Stories about real people who did impossible things. Stories that will remind you that you are capable of anything. Thank you for watching. Thank you for believing. And remember, nothing is impossible. The girl who washed dishes is now an engineer. What will you become?